Today I'm going to take you up to the Northeast, baby.
Ooh, hopefully not in the wintertime because I think it gets a little cold up there.
We can't. We don't want to go in the wintertime.
No,
we want to go in
the
July.
Summer.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about this place. I've been there. You have not been there yet, so I'm really excited to talk about it.
I am too.
Where are we taking everybody?
We're going to Bahaba, Maine.
Put your seatbelts on.
Here we go.
Did you know that 46 million Americans plan to take an RV trip in the next 12 months? 90% of recreational vehicle owners take 3 or more mini vacations every year. Welcome to the RV Destinations Podcast. If it's RV travel, we're talking about it. From campgrounds to museums to national and state parks, kayaking and hiking opportunities. One of the most fun and pleasurable things you can do is just hit the road. So be ready to be inspired. Welcome in to the RV Destinations Podcast. Now your host, President Randy Beheimer and Editor-in-Chief, Caly Beheimer.
Hello, welcome to the RV Destinations Podcast. To all our YouTube listeners or watchers, viewers, and also our audio podcast, thanks for joining us today. We're excited to talk about a very beautiful, beautiful place. This is a very popular place.
Yeah.
And so we're excited to tell you a little bit about Bar Harbor today.
It's Bahaba.
Bahaba. I don't have that accent.
Bahaba.
That's how, I've got a Kentucky accent. Bar Harbor.
Bar Harbor.
Anyway, we got a guest on the show here today. You want to introduce him?
We have Casey Kilgore with us. Hello, Casey. How are you?
Hi, you guys. I'm good, thanks.
Good. Casey is part of the RV Destinations team now, which is woo! So excited to have you as a part of the team. Thank you. And then you and your family are full-time RVers as well. So
that's right.
You live this life.
3.5 years.
3.5 years. Now, you shared this last time. Share again the dynamics in the rig, because there's a whole lot of estrogen and not a whole lot of testosterone.
There is a lot of pink. So my husband and I have 4 daughters. So they have all just had birthdays. So they are 18, 16, 14, and 12.
Wow.
So it's amazing. My husband says that he just goes to the bathhouse.
He's like, I'll be back in 4 hours.
Now, do you have any pets? I think you told me you had a pet, don't you? No pets?
No. I only keep humans alive. No animals.
That's awesome.
So.
I don't blame you.
Yep.
I'm hopeful our animals cooperate. Right now we have the golden doodle Charlie is on the couch behind us, and Zoe the boxer's on the floor, and Gus has already tried to make his debut because he's like, oh, wait, you guys are doing a podcast. Okay, I'm awake and I need love now.
It's literally like alarm bells. Like
is.
when we start talking, Gus comes running. You might see him walking across the theater seats behind us. But yes. We'll just deal with it.
Or you might see like a tail come across the camera.
Right.
It was hysterical. We did a podcast recording yesterday, and all you saw was like a quarter of his face in the screen in my video because he was just chilling. He's like, I'm not moving. This is good.
Yep. All right. Well, today we're talking about Bar Harbor, Maine, and this is a amazing place. It's wildly popular. Mm-hmm. I was there probably 15 years ago.
It was BC.
Yeah, it was BC before Caly. And Casey took the time to put this together. And you were just there within the past year, correct? Or was it a little bit longer than that?
It's been a couple of years. And a couple of years ago, we were there in the late spring, which was an interesting time. Kind of like what do they call it? Like not the bookend season, but before it got too crowded.
Right. Okay. Right. And I was there in July, so we can give 2 different perspectives.
Oh, yes.
Not perspectives.
Perspectives.
On Bar Harbor in 2 different seasons. So that's really exciting. But I've got some fun facts here. You want to jump into some fun facts?
Yes, let's do this because I have more questions on the whole season thing.
I'm going to be reading off my computer, so forgive me for looking down. But the first thing that most people actually know is that Bar Harbor is the gateway to Acadia National Park. It's the main gateway to Acadia National Park, known for its stunning coastal scenery, hiking trails, and unique wildlife. So there's also, we'll talk a little bit more about Acadia, I'm sure, in the top 10. So I'll move along. So it's a historic summer resort. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Bar Harbor was a popular summer retreat for wealthy families, including the Rockefellers and Vanderbilts. And I believe, if I remember right, I think that Rockefeller built a lot of the roads. I think he paid for a lot of the roads being built there because he's like, if I'm going to live here, I need roads. And so he built all
My wheels are not touching dirt.
Yeah. And it's also one of the few national parks that have allowed dogs in it because most of it's, road that you take to. So there was a great fire in 1947. A devastating fire swept through Bar Harbor in 1947, destroying many buildings and changing the landscape. The community rebuilt and preserved its historical charm. Bar Harbor is considered a biking and hiking paradise. The town features over 45 miles of carriage roads within Acadia National Parks, perfect for biking and walking.
Interesting.
So I did some biking there. Actually had my ex-wife drive me to the top of the, what is that, Casey? Do you remember the lookout at the top of Acadia?
The Cadillac?
Oh, like Cadillac, yeah.
Yeah, so I had her drive me up, and I got my bike off the rack, and I rode down. It was hilarious. I was flying, and I saw this guy just, like, sweating and dying, like, going up the hill. And he's like, did you ride up? And I was like, no. He was like,
no, I did not, sir.
Tell him you're smarter than that.
That's right. I used my thinker on this one.
That's exactly right. It's a long hill. But Bar Harbor's known for its lobster. Bar Harbor's known for its fresh seafood, especially lobster. The annual Maine Lobster Festival celebrates this iconic dish. What a great thing. I would love to go up there during the lobster festival in the area.
Yeah.
So,
I think that would be cool too.
So we need to reach out to Bar Harbor and their lobster festival, and maybe they can host us.
Yep, we would love that. There's also the waters around Bar Harbor are prime for whale watching with opportunities to see humpback, minke, M-I-N-K-E. Minke. And even finback whales. So a lot of whale watching there in the Bar Harbor. I've taken a whale watching cruise there. Did get to see a whale. I got to see a couple of them. So Kibo Valley Golf Course, established in 1888, is one of the oldest golf courses in the U.S. and offers beautiful views of the surrounding area. A couple more here. Arts and culture. Bar Harbor has a vibrant art scene with galleries, theaters, and local festivals celebrating everything from art to music. And then the last thing we've got here on this is the area experiences some of the highest tides on the East Coast, with tidal changes up to 12 feet in some places.
Jeez.
So,
okay, and I would like to talk about Chat GPT again, because I know you use Chat GPT for those. I have to say, Chat GPT is a little boring when it comes to them. I'm used to a lot of the other fun facts that you're digging up on these cities are like.
Well, I don't have time.
People died from molasses.
Well, with you saying that, I did pull up ghost stories of Bar Harbor.
Okay, that could be a little more interesting.
So let's talk about the 3 haunted places in Bar Harbor.
Okay.
One is the Ledge Lawn Inn. The jilted bride, Mary Margaret, is said to haunt the former Ledge Lodge Inn, where she hung herself in her wedding dress.
Oh, shoot, dang, girlfriend.
She hung herself in the wedding dress. I get it. Guests have reported seeing her floating through the air, and one guest claims that she even got into bed with him.
Dirty girl. So, but it doesn't say why she hung herself.
Didn't say.
She probably got jilted.
Honey,
you know what? She probably knew that her husband was never going to do dishes, and that was it. She just gave up then.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, the next one that's haunted is the Miramonte Inn. Some say the Miramonte Inn is haunted by its former residents, including a 19th century housekeeper and a woman who may have been a former owner. Others have reported seeing a ghostly boy in the kitchen and hearing children laughing in the dining room. So,
as Casey laughs.
And then the third is the Criterion Theater. The Criterion Theater is said to be haunted by mysterious events and ghost stories. Some say they've even seen spirits in the front door, a ghost on the balcony, and male figures on the balcony.
Ooh, doo-doo-doo.
So,
I think my favorite was the first one. I'd like to know why she just decided, this wedding dress makes me look fat. That's it. I'm done. Life is over.
Okay.
Right?
I'm going to leave that alone.
Okay. You've spent a lot of money making sure your RV is geared up to take you on open road adventures. But what about when you aren't using your RV and need to store it? RVers know storing your RV in the elements can dry rot tires, break down seals, and damage that beautiful shine on your paint. You want the best protection for your RV while you aren't on the road, and there is no better solution than your own personalized RV storage building by Morton Buildings. Morton is an industry leader in design and construction of RV garages, as well as other recreational and hobby buildings. This means that the design, function, and aesthetics are perfect for your needs and space. So while you aren't in your RV trekking across the country, you'll be happy knowing that your RV is safe, secure, and protected from harsh elements inside a beautiful RV garage by Morton Buildings. With over 100 construction centers throughout the country, getting started on your new RV garage is a breeze. Quite simply, Morton RV storage buildings are built stronger, last longer, and look better. Save now through February during Building Value Days when you can build the best for less. Visit mortonbuildings.com for more information and start planning today.
So I'm excited to jump in now.
Yeah.
Caly has not been there. So
no, we were supposed to go, and this was stupid
2020.
COVID,
Yep.
the year of COVID. Not funness. So yeah, we were scheduled. We had the RV parks. We had everything picked out and planned. And it was like 2 weeks before we were supposed to go, and happened to call the RV park just to check in, make sure everything was good. And they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, did you hear our policy for COVID?" We're like, "No, what policy?" "Well, you have to quarantine inside the park. Like, you're free to be outside of your RV, but you're not allowed to leave the park for 2 weeks."
For 2 weeks. And we were only scheduled to be there for 4 days.
Yeah, I'm like, we're not even going to be there 2 weeks. I'm like, so you're telling me we can come to the park, we just can't leave the park? And she's like, yeah, that's correct. I'm like, yeah, you can go ahead and cancel our reservation.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
It's just we're glad that's behind us.
I know, thank goodness.
All the silly rules and things that they put in place.
Yes.
It shows you if something major would happen.
Indeed.
But
yeah,
shows
that's
you
a
what
whole
might
nother
happen.
podcast.
Right. We're not going to get into that.
Whole nother
front,
topic,
but-
whole nother podcast.
So anyway, Bar Harbor starting off with
Bahama.
number 10. What do you think about number 10?
Number 10 is Walk the Shore Path. And this sounds actually very beautiful. And Randy said, you got to do this. So it's a scenic coastal walk that stretches just under 3/4 of a mile that runs along Frenchman's Bay there. It starts at the pier in Agamot Park. And apparently it's just breathtaking views, breathtaking sceneries. You walk by some of the historic cottages and mansions and homes. It's like a photographer's dream come true, because I think there's one section specifically where it's a lot of the old wooden fences and some of the beautiful roses are kind of draped over this fence. And it looks beautiful.
Yeah, what I remember about it was walking past the docks and seeing all the boats out in the... there's some boats in the harbor there, then there's some tied up, and it's just a beautiful scenery. And then, it was chilly, which I'm sure it was, Casey, when you were there as well. I was there July 4th. I was over July 4th, and it was chilly in the morning. It was super chilly. I think it was in the 60s, maybe even the 50s. But just that cool, brisk air is just so amazing, and it's a special place. It really is. No wonder it's so wildly popular. It's just a beautiful place.
Yeah. I think if I had to sum it up in one phrase, I would say coastal charm.
Yes.
One of the things you read said something about charm, and it is just, the whole place has just got coastal charm.
For sure.
I'm excited. I think we're trying, I believe, this fall maybe to head up that way.
Yep.
Maybe. I'm
That's the
looking at you,
plan.
Randy.
That's the plan.
I'm looking at you, Randy. It could. This is on the list, and folks might actually get to go. I know all of you out there that have listened to our podcast or watch our podcast know that I look at Randy all the time going, I want to go there. And he goes, yeah, I know. But this one could actually happen.
Yep.
It might make the list.
It might
think it should.
I know. It should. It should.
right.
It's very exciting.
So moving on to number 9, Lulu's Lobster Boat Tour.
This sounds like so much fun. So it's what, like a 2-hour boat tour, and you get to go out and learn all about catching lobster? Do you actually get to catch lobster while you're on the tour?
Yes, so they do. Interestingly enough, so my dad and his wife actually did this. I did not. I joked with y'all earlier, but I did not pay for all my children and for all of us to do this.
Yes.
But it was one of their favorite experiences, and here's why. One of the cool things about it is that they were there during the summer, like you were, Randy, and there was a one of the local high school teachers that was their tour guide on the boat. And they said just the facts that he knew as a local and as kind of a history buff made their whole entire tour. And just they talked about how interesting it was here about the lobster and the season and how they catch it and what they do with it. And just made for a really, really cool experience. So they had great pictures of, like them with big lobster, and it was really cool.
Oh, that's cool. That would be fun. That would definitely be on my list of something I'd want to do and see and check out. Because, I mean, lobster.
When you think Maine, you think lobster.
Right.
So.
Yeah. It's like, it's like their national pastime.
Yeah. And no matter where you go in the country, if you get lobster, if you're in a nice steakhouse, they have lobster on the menu. 99.9% it's a Maine lobster. And now you're in Maine and you're getting lobster straight off the boat. I'm telling you, and I don't want to go too much into this.
Does it taste better?
I don't want to go too much into it because this is kind of number one, but oh my gosh, the lobster rolls, not even the lobster roll, right? You get cold lobster rolls, you get hot lobster rolls, you can walk up and get a whole lobster and for like $25. So something you pay $150 elsewhere.
Yeah,
maybe not $150, but you pay a lot more.
Oh, you do. The market price.
So the boat tour though is a cool way to hear like all of the stuff kind of like before it gets to the table.
Yeah, and that
before you eat it and consume it.
It's really fascinating. I've watched that whatever the one that was on like the Discovery Channel of the guys that were in Alaska and hunting the lobster or the king crab or whatever. And it is fascinating because they bring them out of the water, they have to measure them or they have to tag them and throw them back in. And so it is cool. I think it's a very neat process of getting them.
And I'm sorry if I missed this, did they pull up nets and all that on this boat tour? Or do you even go out
I think
on the boat
so.
tour?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Oh, yeah. I think they pull up and it's the whole thing because they actually had the fresh lobster that they had seen and caught, and the guy talked all about it. They had some really neat pictures.
Oh,
so,
that's awesome.
Oh, fun.
Good experience.
Definitely going to do that when we go back. So moving on to number 8.
Number 8 is the Jordan Pond Ice Cream and Fudge Shop. And I feel like we could stop the top 10 right here, and it would be a spectacular top, 3. Because who doesn't want some good ice cream in a fudge shop? Now, is this located in kind of like the historic downtown area? Is it pretty walkable and easy to get access?
This is kind of right downtown. It is. Everything's very walkable downtown, and we'll talk about all the different things that you can get to downtown. But, of course, having kids, they're going to find every ice cream shop.
Oh, yes.
And so this place sits right there. It was the perfect place to walk in, get in line. I really think there's always a line at this ice cream shop. Is my guess. We were there in the middle of the afternoon in the spring, and there was a line. So I think there probably is always a line. And you get in. They have benches outside, so you can go outside and enjoy your ice cream. It was superb. And then, of course, blueberries, kind of second to lobster in Maine, are blueberries. So the blueberry ice cream, you'll find at some of the different places, blueberry is a delicacy as well there. And so the blueberry ice cream is their most popular flavor.
Nice, because I was going to ask you if they had a flavor that you highly recommend. So blueberry would be it. And I got to say, for anybody out there that has not had blueberries where blueberries grow, you need to have blueberries from where blueberries grow. It's just a different experience.
Different.
They just taste so much better.
Yeah, I think I think they have blueberry beer there too. I'm not a beer drinker, but I remember
I've had blueberry beer.
They have blueberry soda too.
Oh,
and that was one of the things that I like, a blueberry soda that's and it was really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know this is a total segue because I know it's not on the top 10, but do you know of any blueberry farms that are nearby that you can check out in the area by chance?
I do not know about any blueberry farms. No.
I'll have to Google that as we move on.
Didn't see any blueberry farms, but I'm sure they are there. Yeah.
Yeah, so moving on to number 7, shopping in Bar Harbor. Tell us a little bit about the shopping there, Casey.
Well, the whole little area downtown is just it's everything you would think of it being. Just your little quintessential cozy coastal,
right?
Beautiful little shops. Anything from great little decor pieces for your home, souvenirs to your good sweatshirt and t-shirt shop. But you can amble through downtown for, a whole afternoon or maybe two, in and out of little shops, looking at different things from the area. You could stop and get ice cream and fudge, in between a couple of your stops. And it's just a good afternoon activity because I think not only do you get to enjoy the downtown doing that, but the weather, typically, that time of year, the weather's nice in the spring and summer. And so it's just a good leisurely experience.
It is. I feel like there's something, and Randy knows because I drag him through all of this every time we go to a new location. I think there's just something fun about going to all the different gift shops and souvenir shops. And
I agree.
And
I think you learn about the town that way.
Yeah, you get to see kind of their thing, whatever their thing is, whether it's blueberries or, lobster or whatever else. But I thoroughly enjoy it. Even if we don't buy anything, typically now that we're full-time in an RV, it gets very precise about what you can purchase. So we do like Christmas ornaments. Right. I'm like, how small can this be?
It has these smaller wearables.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, look at all the blueberry earrings I have. Aren't they beautiful?
I actually think Caly's...
But I agree.
Yes.
I was going to say, I actually think Caly's struggling with that more than I am as far as, I just want to get this, or I just want to get that.
Because I love the tchotchkes. I'm a tchotchke kind of gal. So in our house that we had... Our front room had these huge, tall ceilings, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, and I had them covered in my little tchotchkes. So I look like a great little old Polish woman, and I'm Polish, so I can say that, with all my little tchotchkes all over my shelves. But it was like my thing. I'm like, oh, look, this is so cute. We got this in the Falkland Islands. Right. Yeah. So, now I'm like, I can't get it.
No, I agree, though. I do think you learn a lot about a place and talking to local merchants too. You find out all kinds of different things.
Oh yes. So yes. And you
definitely worth an afternoon.
It is, because I have found too at these places, this is where you find out the really good places to eat. They'll tell you the touristy places and then you're like, no. Tell me where you would go.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's so true.
Yep.
Moving on, number 6.
Okay, so kayaking in Acadia. So is this inside the national park that the kayaking is available? I mean, obviously Bar Harbor is on the harbor. So what other locations that can you kayak there?
Yeah, so we actually put our kayaks in. So we love to kayak and be on the water. We put our kayaks in at Jordan Pond, which is in the national park.
Oh, okay.
And it's just, I think it's deceiving that it's called Jordan Pond because, from all of us from down south, we have a connotation for pond, and this is not it.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is a beautiful lake, in the national park, and it's accessible by road. And so we went by road, parked, had our kayaks ready to go. Ours are inflatable, and then put them in, and then we were able to paddle around the lake. There's just a different perspective, in my opinion, that you get from the water when you're looking up out of the water. It's just a different perspective on a national park, on beautiful scenery. And so it's surrounded by mountains, rocks, trees, just a beautiful coastal, really neat place to put in your kayak or your water vessel if that's something you enjoy.
Oh, very cool. And then, total random question on this, because we recently saw this while we were in Glacier. Is there any type of boat check, kayak check, paddleboard check? Because I know some places have to check for certain mollusks that'll kind of attach themselves.
I know, and make sure that you've cleaned your boats. And I don't remember, and sometimes those things change. Kevin would know that, but sometimes those things change. I don't remember us because at Glacier they're very particular. You have to go to the park and get inspected and get a tag, and I don't rememar us having to do any of that.
Okay.
I'm going to confidently say it's too cold and nothing's going to grow on the bottom of a boat.
Well, but Glacier, you're in glacially fed lakes.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, and those are pretty brisk.
Yep. And now swimming is prohibited here at this lake, Jordan Pond. But any watercraft and personal watercraft is permissible. So
just don't fall in the water.
A neat experience.
Yeah,
just don't fall in or go swimming.
Just put your toes in, folks. That's it.
That's right. That's right.
Don't pay for RV repairs in 2025 with our friends at Wholesale Warranties. It's no secret that most things are more expensive than they used to be, and RV repairs are no exception. With part costs and labor rates skyrocketing, even the most common RV breakdown can threaten to sideline your travels this new year. The good news? You can protect your travel budget with reliable coverage from Wholesale Warranties, which is an A+ rated company with the BBB. Your policy will pick up the bill for the most common and costly mechanical failures your rig may face, like leveling systems, slide outs, heating and cooling components, and appliances, all the way to your engine and beyond. As the most widely accepted plan, you can take your policy to any RV shop in the US or Canada, including mobile techs. Coverage starts on your schedule with no waiting period. So why wait? Visit wholesalewarranties.com to get your free, personalized RV warranty quote today and let them pick up your next repair bill.
So number 5 is like a definite given while you're there, and that's hike in Acadia National Park. And there was a couple hikes that you did that you recommend. One is relatively easy, one is slightly more challenging, but sounds like it's definitely worth it.
We did. So, and to this day, it's one of the trails that my children still talk about.
Really?
It is. It's a very memorable trail. Now, I will say that this trail is not for those people who are scared of heights. So if that's you, if you're listening today and you're scared of heights, do not add this one to your list.
And this is the Beehive Trail?
And this is the Beehive Trail. One of the things that makes it so fascinating, I think why the kids enjoyed it so much, is there's ladders, and you kind of scurry around rocks and climb up ladders, and it's lots of different components and rock climbing, and takes you up the side. The views are absolutely spectacular, but it is a little nerve-wracking, I'm not going to lie, especially to watch your kid scurry along the side of a mountain. That was a bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But a really, really cool experience. So you do not come down the way you go up. You go up one way and then down the back side of the mountain.
Okay.
That's so you climb up and walk down.
Oh,
so it's really cool.
That's
really
cool.
And then the other one that we did was the Bubble Rock. And so this is a trail that's a little under 2 miles round trip. But you go all the way out and you walk up to what they call Bubble Rock. And so it's this massively huge rock that is sitting precariously on the side of the mountain. It literally looks like that if you touched it with your finger, you could push it off. Obviously you can't because it's a huge heavy rock, but made for a cute photo op with the girls and with pictures. But it's a good, easy, family-friendly hike that provides a good, we like hikes that provide good, what am I trying to say, bang for your buck at the end,
Absolutely.
You can go and you can see something really good. So it was one of those, so it was good. It's called Bubble Rock.
Bubble Rock. And I've pulled up pictures on both of those, and Bubble Rock looks really neat because you're right. It's like all the kids and everything are standing around this big rock like they're trying to pick it up or move it, because it does. It looks like it's getting ready to fall off the edge of this kind of little rocky hillside, which is neat. And then the Beehive Trail.
I've got that up here if you want me to. I've got it on all trails here. It's
talk about it.
1.5 miles. It's a 508 feet elevation gain. It is a loop, as Casey said. Get to know this 1.5 mile loop trail near Bar Harbor, Maine, generally considered a challenging route. This is a very popular area for hiking, so you'll likely encounter other people while exploring. The best time to visit this trail are May through October. You need to leave the pups at home because dogs are not allowed on this trail. And that's pretty common with trails. Dogs are not allowed, but they're allowed in a lot of. Well, they're allowed a lot in this park, just not out on the trails.
On the trails, yeah.
Right, correct.
Yeah.
Very short hike.
Yeah, and I would not suggest small kids. I would say probably 6 and up, just because in the climbing that you do, they've got to be able to reach from one rung of kind of the ladder parts to another, and so it would be very taxing with little kids. It would be challenging. So anyway, but with bigger kids that were tall enough, it was, like I said, mine still talk about it. Now I'm not sure I will go back with them because my blood pressure was elevated the whole time, I think. But it was a good trail. Great views.
It's saying at the summit. Sorry, babe. It's saying at the summit here, hikers are rewarded with a panoramic view of Eagle Lake, the surrounding mountains, and the stunning coastline of Maine. So, definitely looks absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, so definitely, folks, do your research. Look at this hike. It looks amazing, but it's skinny ledges. It is railings to hold on to. It is like metal grates that are covering basically large cracks in the rocks that you need to walk across. So if you've got any kind of fear of anything, this is not your hike.
Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't get up there and then have to get rescued. Moving on to number 4, which is Thunder Hole. Okay, so this sounds really cool. Is this one of those places where, from the name of it, it sounds like the water comes in at certain times during the day and just gets shot up all over the place through all the holes that are in the rock?
Yes, you said it precisely. And that's one of the coolest parts to me about Acadia, because you're right there on the coast. There is so much to do and see around the tides. As the tides come in, it's a great science refresher. But this is one of those things. As the tides come in and the water laps up through this little section of rock. Now, this is you access this through just the big drive. There's a drive and a paved drive in Acadia. So you just park in a little parking lot walk across the road, and out on a boardwalk, and you can stand there. And some of the times the water splashes up high enough that it would wet you if you were standing right at the edge.
Oh, wow.
But it just makes an amazing noise as it comes in, and you can watch the water come in and go out. And it's just a really cool, just a quick little, not something you would spend a ton of time at, but also something you don't want to miss if you're there in the park, because it's really neat to watch.
Yeah, the site says the best time to experience Thunder Hole is during high tide, which the waves are the strongest. It's particularly impressive during storms when the ocean is more turbulent, too.
I bet that would be interesting.
But yeah, it's obviously a photographer's paradise.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You could also do some wildlife watching there. They're saying it's common to see seabirds, marine life, seals, and other wildlife there at Thunder Hole.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then
it's really neat.
And back to the photographer's point, because I Googled this and I'm seeing a lot of photographers' images pull up, and it's breathtaking. And there's actually a couple of photographers that went out there at night and got the Milky Way. So they did like a long exposure, obviously. And so the water is like all silky, smooth, milky looking with the Milky Way above this, which is just stunningly beautiful. And then others are getting, I'm guessing, sunrises with the waves, and it's beautiful. So yeah, I think a photographer could seriously spend a good amount of time here and get some stunning images.
Yeah, that's right, because the whole East Coast there gets the sunrise,
so
that'd be beautiful.
Yep.
That's a great segue to our next one, Sunrise.
Exactly.
Sunrise, which is Cadillac Mountain. And this is, Cadillac Mountain, isn't this the place in Acadia? It's as far east as you can get. So going there to catch a sunrise is like the thing to do and the place to go, right?
It really is. And so, you sit there, and I can remember telling the kids when we went there, okay, we are the very first people in America to see the sun today.
That's so cool.
Because it is as far, and it's just really neat. Now, I will tell you that Cadillac Mountain, they go through different seasons to actually get to the parking lot. It's a very small parking lot that holds not a lot of cars.
Okay.
And they go through different seasons. I don't know when it is that you have to have a permit to get into that parking lot.
Wow. Okay.
And so we had a ranger tell us a place to go that was not quite there, but just around the corner. And the ranger said, don't try to get into that parking lot. Everybody tries to get into that one spot. He said, go to this other, I don't remember exactly. It was kind of just right before it. But I guess my point in saying all of that is that even if you cannot get into that one small parking lot that is considered the place to watch the sunrise, go do it anyway. Don't let that deter you. Yeah. There are places that you can pull off and go and sit on the rocks all in that area. And you can still watch the sunrise. And it's just an absolutely incredible, take your blankets, because we were talking about earlier how chilly it is in the mornings and at night. We did that. We had sweatshirts and blankets, but it was just an incredible experience just to kind of the sun rises and you wake up and be the first people in America to see the sun because of how far east you are.
That's really cool. And, and I'm looking at the pictures online, and I almost feel like, if you can't get into Cadillac Point, definitely don't be upset about it, because other locations might not be as busy. It's literally like the Instagram versus real life. So, you see these stunning sunsets, but then they show these pictures of hundreds and hundreds of people that are standing there all waiting for the sun to come up. So it's like, if you go,
you're going to have to climb around and get your own spot. And so I'm with you. I don't think it's necessarily bad to not get to that spot.
Yes, because you might find another spot where maybe there's only 10 people instead of 100, and you can get the same picture without all your not so close friends hanging out with you.
Exactly. But definitely go see the sunrise.
Yes.
For sure. We've actually featured Bar Harbor and Acadia in the magazine several times. So issue 15 is one that comes to mind really quickly, where we talk about the whole Bar Harbor area. So if you want more in depth too, if you've got a digital subscription and you've got all the back issues, you can certainly go back and see all that. I just wanted to add that at this point because I do know we've featured it several times.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We are at number 2, which is the tide pools and walk to Bar Island. So the tide goes out a couple times a day, and then you can walk to this island. Is that right? But then kind of get to see all this cool stuff along the way in the little tide pools.
This probably is one of my most favorite things to do in Bar Harbor, and it's free.
Nice.
And so it's just fascinating to see just how the tides work. Depending on where you live in the country, it's not something that is really, unless you live on the coast anyway, it's not something you think about a lot. If you live inland, we don't, look at tides and think about tides. And so it was fascinating just to look at that, to plan when you go. You have to really think about, there's a sign there. So there, you access it through one of the side streets right there in Bar Harbor, right before you get into the downtown part. And you can just park on the side of the road. There's a sign that tells you kind of, hey, this is where to go to find out the tide times, low tide, high tide, what your window of opportunity is. So you can go and look up that information and then literally just walk. It's like you're walking through the ocean, and, all these critters and creatures and sea urchins and different little things that grow on the bottom of the seafloor with the rocks. And then you get over to the island. There's a little hike on the island that you can do. And then you just have to make sure that you get back. And they tell you to make sure you get back because it's expensive for them to kind of get you.
Right. Or be prepared to camp unexpectedly.
Yeah. And I actually think you can get a permit and stay over there maybe.
Okay.
I'd have to Google and fact check myself. But that actually may be a thing. But yeah, they tell you they have a taxi like a river taxi or a boat taxi that would come and get you if you get stranded, and they tell you that it's not cheap. So please to make your way back.
Yes.
Yeah, sounds like it.
It's like the cruise ships, where they're like, look, we are leaving at 3:30. The horn's going to go off. If you're not on the boat, guess
Be
what?
on the boat.
We're going to the next location. Yep.
I would say wear shoes, like Crocs or flip-flops or, Teva is something that can get wet so that you can explore well if you do that activity. Okay. You don't have to get wet, but it was fun to have on shoes that we can walk around in the water and explore.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's neat. Like you said, you get kind of you get to see the underwater view without being underwater, which is really neat.
Yes, yes. For sure.
We've made our way all the way to number one.
Number one.
Already.
Woo-hoo.
That's right.
I'm excited.
250 strands of light. Drum roll, please.
And the number one thing to do in Bar Harbor is, of course, the local food scene, of course.
Yes. I mean, come on. You don't come to Bar Harbor to go to McDonald's, folks. You come to Bar Harbor for the lobster and everything lobster. But then there's some other cool stuff that you guys have experienced there too, right? With the food scene?
Yes. I think you have to do you just have to get a lobster roll.
Yes.
It's not, I will admit, lobster is not my favorite seafood.
What?
But you just can't go, I know, right? But you can't go there without getting it. You just have to get it.
So let's talk about that for a minute before you go on. So the lobster roll, you can get it hot, you can get it cold. Did you try both of them, or did you just try one?
We just tried one, and I'm trying to remember. I don't feel like I think ours was more cold.
Yeah.
It was like a toasted, almost like a, like if you're in New Orleans and you get what's the word I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
A sandwich.
But it's toasted, but it's like a tuna salad. It's mixed with mayonnaise and some kind of, I don't know if it's pepper or what, but not pepper, but like a green pepper or something, and then it's put in, but it's cold. The sandwich is cold. But you can and that's the more
like a lobster salad.
Right. That's exactly right. But that's cold.
A po' boy.
A po' boy. Yeah,
that's
it.
Like
okay.
a po' boy.
That's
yes.
right.
Okay.
Now that you say that, it's like, duh.
I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. A po' boy. Okay.
Yeah.
But the cold one is the more.
So it's like a toasted.
Right. But the cold lobster roll, and lobster is how they say it. Lobster roll is more popular. But you can get them heated too, and I really like the hot ones. It feels like you're eating a nice warm meal.
I can see where that would be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We went, and you have to explain too, though, when we're talking about a lobster roll, this isn't just one little scoop of stuff.
Right.
I mean, the one we got was overflowing. There's no way you could pick it up and eat it with your hands. You needed a fork. It was overflowing with just yummy goodness and meat. And anyway, but now I expect to pay. That is the local delicacy. So this isn't like, Subway sandwich fare. Okay.
Right.
So just know that going in.
Do you remember, out of curiosity, about how much you paid for it?
I think it was like $28 for a roll.
Which is not
Something
bad.
like
It's
that.
not bad.
You're
for
getting almost a whole lobster of meat. And
Yes.
so if you'd get this in Texas, it's going to
it'd
be
be
a
like
$48.
$50, right?
Yeah.
It'd be, okay, that's fair.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you're getting a ton of meat. So it's not, but and they do have them all different places. You can get them all different places. And again, at the restaurants as well. We ate dinner one night at one of the restaurants right there on kind of at the edge street, right at the harbor. And so, of course, they had any kind of steak, fresh seafood, chowder or chowder.
Chowder, yes.
That was delicious as well. And it was super interesting to talk to them. One night we got into a big conversation with our server there. And because Bar Harbor is such a seasonal place, he was telling us about how the local restaurants take turns. Only one restaurant stays open for like December, January, and February.
Oh, really?
And they kind of like take turns, and that's just to serve some of the local people. But the majority of them are all contracted through a parent company. And they, like, this guy spent half the year in Bar Harbor, half the year in Florida. And so it's like the seasons. And so they are just salaried employees with a parent company and do half their year one place and half their year in another. So it was super interesting, just the whole food scene in
That's
general
actually
there.
a genius business plan. It really is.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my! And who wouldn't want to be
it was really cool.
Yes, and I'm like, who wouldn't want to winter over in Florida for 6 months and then be up in Bar Harbor in the summertime for 6 months? I mean, that sounds amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's so many good seafood restaurants there. I'm looking on TripAdvisor. There was one I was trying to think of that it's at a pier. You actually saw it on a pier, and I cannot remember the name of it. But Galen, the Terrence Grill, Westside Cafe, Tisa's Bar and Grill, Sea Ray Lobsters, Rose Eden Lobsters, the Traveling Lobster. These are all seafood restaurants just right there. And that's only like 4 or 5 of 20 that are in the area.
But now there's also stuff for the non-seafood people, and you have to throw that in too. If you're a non-seafood person and you find your way on the coast, there was one cute little dive that we ate at too, because not all of our kids love seafood. That was an old church building that this restaurant owner had completely redone with local souvenirs and things. And so it was like your normal burger, chicken, that type of joint. So, I mean, there's something for everybody is the point here.
Yeah, for sure. Now, your kids also liked a root beer place, didn't you tell us offline?
Oh, yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
I have one of my daughters that is a connoisseur of root beer. And so she and my husband have tried root beer literally all over the country. And their top favorite one is there in Bar Harbor, and it's called Old Soaker. So Old Soaker Brewery, and it is literally, they say, the best root beer in the country. So
interesting. Now, did they have it with ice cream, a scoop of vanilla ice cream?
No, they're purists. They just pop a glass bottle and they pop the top, and then you have to try it.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds good. I love root beer.
Well,
I'll have to try that.
They do too. They love root beer. I'll just pick a Diet Coke everywhere we go.
Yes.
But,
yes.
They love the root beer.
I really think this is like an eats place. Like, of course, you're going to go there for the small, beautiful, quaint, sea town.
Yes. For sure.
Yeah, but and it is beautiful. It's picturesque. It's all those things. But
didn't Sandy Barrett do essentially a road tour up and down the coastline of all different great places to get? It was
2 issues ago, but she did a lobster roll food tour, and it started in Bar Harbor and went down to Boston.
Yes.
And all the famous places to stop
genius.
to get. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, I think it was 2 issues ago, so it would probably be issue 20 or 19.
19 or 20, yeah. So for those of you that have the paper copy or or access to our back issues, check that out too, because that could be a great little fun day trip or a couple day trip to kind of eat your way through all these great lobster shacks. Oh, that sounds so good. I'm so hungry right now.
Sure.
So
I was about to say.
I know.
Yeah, so as far as getting around, when you're in downtown Bar Harbor, most everything's walkable. What I remember, would you agree with that, Casey?
Yep.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Yeah, but if you're going to go into Acadia, you might want to drive to different hiking locations. If you're going up to the top of a Cadillac mountain, you probably definitely want to drive that. But you can get around most places by walking, because a lot of these are old horse and buggy roads,
like carriage trails.
Yeah, carriage trails that Rockefeller built, and so you can take your dogs on them. The dogs are free to go anywhere except the trails. So it's just really, really nice place. You can leave your a lot of the campgrounds are actually outside of town, so you have to drive in town. But once you park, then you're kind of free to walk around. So, and
even exploring the national park, you can even if you're not a hiker, go take the drive through there, because it's worth just seeing the scenery and the coast.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
there's like a loop road, correct, inside the park. Okay.
Yep. There is one big loop.
So getting to the campgrounds, and we're, again, using RV Life's campground resource. This is a free resource. Again, you should get out there and use it when exploring your campgrounds. But do you remember, where did you stay when you were there? What campground you stayed?
So we've stayed at, this last time we stayed at Narrows 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's where we were
it's
booked.
Narrows TOO. And then there's also my dad, when he was there, I talked about him being they stayed at the KOA.
Yep.
So there's lots of options.
Yeah, and I stayed at the KOA when I was there some 15 years ago. But there's 34 camping options in the greater Bar Harbor area. I've rated them from highest rated to lowest rated, and let's see what RV Life Campground Reviews offers. And the first one they've got is the Patton Pond Camping Resort. This is actually 1,000 trails, and it's in Ellsworth. But it's 18 miles away.
We've stayed there as well.
Have you? Okay.
I was going to say, I heard that one was very highly rated, but it is a little bit further away.
It's a further hike. Yep.
Yeah, so the next highest is Narrows 2, which you just talked about that you stayed at. Narrows 2 Camping Resort. And then Mount Desert Narrows Camping Resort is the third, and that's only 5 miles away. Maine State Cottage and RV Park got really high reviews. Henry Cove RV Park, Sunset Point Campground. Actually, Sunset Point Campground got the highest review. I don't know why that wasn't first. That got 9.8 stars out of 10 with a lot of reviews, but it is 22 miles away from Acadia, so it's a little bit further out. Oceanfront Camping at Reach Knolls also got, and that's in Brooklyn, Maine. So quite a few campgrounds to choose from there. If you can't find one spot, go to another campground. You'll find one there.
And this leads me to another question, Casey and Randy, since y'all have been there already. Because there's some campgrounds that are closer to Bar Harbor and some that are further out. How many days do you feel like is good to dedicate to the Bar Harbor area? Or if you stayed out, how far is that drive?
Well, I could take this first. So we were there over July 4th, as I said. And I think we were there for 5 days, and I felt like that was sufficient.
Okay.
I don't feel like I was shortchanged, and I don't feel like we were there too long. So I think 4 to 5 days is all you need. What do you think, Casey?
Well, I was going to say you have to have at least 3 at a minimum.
Okay.
Is what I was going to say. So,
yep.
And that's with packing things in, but you need to be able to eat, you need to see Acadia, you need to be downtown. And then if you have some extra excursions, then probably the 4 to 5 day range is a better.
Yeah. And we did it.
Better place.
We hiked, we biked, and we did the whale watching. We walked around along the pier, and we did all the shops. We ate at a lot of restaurants. And so, again, I can't remember if it was 4 or 5 days, but it was somewhere around there, and we felt like that was ample. I don't feel like we needed to stay longer.
Okay, that's totally fair. That's good.
Yep.
That's good for me to know in future planning, and I'm sure it's good for other folks to know too for planning.
Yep. All right. Well, that kind of
indeed.
That kind of wraps up everything with Bar Harbor in today's podcast.
Bar Harbor.
You want to take us out, baby?
I will take us out. So, Casey, thank you so much for joining us today and talking about
Thank
the
you.
top.
It was super fun.
Yes, it was super fun. And chatting about all the fun things to do in the Bar Harbor. I just like saying Bar Harbor. I do. I really do.
Yeah, let's go eat a lobster roll, right?
Yes,
totally.
please. Please, let's go. And then get some blueberries too. because that sounds good.
There you go.
Yes. So thank you so much for being with us today. And we want to thank all of you out there for joining us in here today. Whether you're on our podcast, audio only, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. But also get out to YouTube and check us out. You can see our happy, shiny faces. Well, like who doesn't want to see our happy, shiny faces every day? So follow us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and that way you are notified anytime we come out with new content. Get out to our website. We have a ton of great free, Free, free travel resources for RVers out there. It's rvdestinationsmagazine.com. And if you use the code, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Use the code podcast20, podcast20, and you're going to get 20% off any of our subscriptions. Oh my gosh, that's a huge savings. So thank you all so much for joining us today. I'm Caly Beheimer here with Randy Beheimer and Casey Kilgore, and we want to thank you all for joining us today.
Be safe.
Safe travels, y'all.